it's not always about what we do, it's more about why we do it and then how we do it. So in my mind, building that team involves focusing on that why, and then also just being very, having that attitude of gratitude, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
You know, always showing folks that we appreciate them, we see them, but also that there's always opportunities to grow and improve, and that we're all coachable. I'm coachable.
Yes.
I'm trying to learn from those around me. I do my best to surround myself with folks that are strong in areas that I'm not that strong.
Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Reality Podcast with your girl, Taiji Charity. This podcast is for C-suite leaders to discuss their experiences and provide insight, encouragement, and inspiration for seasoned and inspiring leaders, offering valuable solutions to today's challenges that will inspire, ignite, and invigorate new and seasoned leaders to walk in their God-given authority with compassion, kindness, and empathy. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be inspired with today's episode of Leadership Reality. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Leadership Realities with me, Taiji Charity. Y'all, today's guest is my fellow CEO buddy, okay? Roberto Martinez. Roberto is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Camarillo, a position he's held since 2015 after joining the Camarillo Boys and Girls Club in 2011. With over 20 years in nonprofit leadership, Roberto started his career in 2003 at the San Bernardino Boys and Girls Club. He's a lifer, y'all. He was born in Valencia, Venezuela, and his family moved to San Bernardino, California when he was only 2 years old. He earned a BA in Developmental Psychology and a Master's in Public Administration from California State University, San Bernardino. Roberto serves on various advisory boards, including the CSUCI Center for Community Engagement and the CALU Center for Nonprofit Leadership. He is also a member of the Rotary Club of Camarillo and a former board member of the West Ventura County Business Alliance. He resides in Ventura County with his wife, Vicky, daughter, Jasmina, and his dog, Nacho. Roberto, welcome to the show. I finally got you here.
Taiji, thank you for having me. I am so happy to be here. I am so impressed with the space. You and your team have done a tremendous job.
Thank you. We're trying to keep up with you and the Boys and Girls Club, Roberto. That's what we're trying to do.
Oh no, iron sharpens iron, and I learned from you so much, and this is inspiring.
Thank you. Let's talk leadership. Roberto, okay, so you've been at the Boys and Girls Club for a long time. You've worked your way up. You are now the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club. When did you first realize that Roberto is a leader?
So I think for me, I've always been a worker, right? And so growing up, my grandfather, you know, me and my cousins, we all kind of lived in the same neighborhood. And my grandfather, he put us to work early. And so as a little kid, he had us moving cinder blocks to one side of the yard to the other, going out to the wash, collecting gravel, and just kind of instilling that work ethic. So for me as a kid, that was great. That was fun. And so I didn't really understand what he was doing, but I think he was building that work ethic for future leadership. I think for me, when I first kind of got my taste of leadership was probably when I was in middle school.
Okay.
I'm the second oldest of 6 kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so, you know, that meant summer times, making lunches, changing diapers, taking care of the kids, but also when I was in middle school, it was my job to get my younger brother and sister ready for school. My older brother was in high school, so he was already gone by that point, you know, before we gone earlier to catch the bus to go to school. And so, you know, my aunt would tell you that she would pick us up, and during that time, we were all out there ready. Shirts were ironed.
Wow.
Sister's hair was brushed, you know, and we were ready to go. And so, you know, she still talks about that, how I was just that general who got everyone ready and
Wow.
willing to go. So I think that was my initial step. But over the years, you know, I think it's just that that community ownership, that responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, you can't complain about things if you're not willing to work to make things better.
I know. You're going to have me sipping my water early, Roberto. I already know. See, I get to talk to you at least once a month because
Absolutely.
we're part of a leadership class. And you always dropping some profound things. But I got to drink to that one. Hold on one second. This sense of community is part of who you are, right?
I think it's part of who we all are.
Yeah.
You know, we're all part of this together.
Yeah.
And so we all want the world to be a better place. I feel like we all want that at some level.
Yes.
And so we can't just my grandfather used to kind of say the same thing, like don't don't not invest in your community. Don't go out to the nice part of town and have dinner there and do all those other things there, and then come back to your community and say, oh well, this place isn't nice.
Wow.
Like, well, you haven't invested in there. You need to go to those restaurants in your neighborhood. You need to go to those stores in your neighborhood. You need to do those beautification things in your neighborhood, and you need to not litter in your neighborhood, because that's where you are. And so make it what you want it to be.
I know that's right. When you see something that needs to be changed and you have the skills, the ability, step in and change. Don't walk into a room and see something that you could fix and walk out of it complaining about the problem, right?
Well, with me and my 5 siblings, that was one of my mom's biggest, complaints, if you want to say that, was take that initiative. I don't want to walk by and see something on the floor if all of you guys have walked by there too. Why hasn't somebody done something about it?
Right. I love it. So how did you get to the Boys and Girls Club? Because you've been there forever.
I've been there forever. So I was a club kid. I grew up right across, the park, I guess, from the Boys and Girls Club of San Bernardino, and I would go there, from time to time. And so that was great. When I was a little bit older, I had wanted a job, and I know your organization, Kids in the Spotlight, does a great job of connecting young people with paid opportunities and employment, and a lot of times that's what they want, and so if you're really going to give a kid a pathway, you need to replace some of the things that they're doing with what they want to do, and a lot of times it's getting money in their pocket, having a job, and I wanted the same thing. I wanted some money in my pocket, and so the Boys and Girls Club had a program. It was the WIA program, Workforce Investment Act, so showing my age, and I went and got involved with that, and I wanted a job, And so they were like, well, you got to do this program, we'll teach you how to do a resume, teach you how to do a job interview, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I just want a job.
Just give me a job, people.
Just give me a job. But, that's kind of how I got my foot in the door. And so they would, they took care of me and would get me involved with different opportunities. But I was like, I live right across the street, Can I get a job here? And they're like, well, you got to volunteer first. So, okay, I volunteered first.
The beauty of nonprofits.
Beauty of nonprofits, right? But I got in there, I volunteered first, I learned a lot, and quite frankly, the club and the staff there took really good care of me.
Oh, I love that.
And so that's kind of how I got in, and all throughout my life, I've just been very fortunate, incredibly fortunate, very blessed from family, from community, from others who have invested in me.
Yes.
And so I think what I learned early on is you're never going to pay it back, but you got to pay it forward. And I think that's kind of what was always instilled in me is someone helped them out, so they want to help me out.
Yes.
And someone helped me out, so I want to help anyone else out who I can help out.
I know that's right. And you just worked your way up from starting as a young man and then now the CEO. What was that journey like for you, though? How did you go from one level to the next level to then being CEO?
I think it was one opportunity, right? Just putting yourself in the right place, but also, again, taking that initiative. So one thing I always really liked about the Boys and Girls Club, and something I was exposed to early on with my time in the club is the Boys and Girls Club is really whatever you make it be.
Yes.
And so, and I guess that's true with anything, right? It's
it really is. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah.
We go whatever you make it to be.
Whatever you make it to be. So I remember one of my first times at the Boys and Girls Club, again, this is right in my neighborhood where I grew up, and it was around Halloween. And so I had asked, like, hey, what are we doing? Well, I said, can I do a haunted house? And they were like, sure. And so I, volunteered a bunch of time and just put a lot of time and energy into this haunted house and didn't know how it was going to turn out. And I remember that day going out and, because we had a gym and then the haunted house was all throughout the club, getting everything ready. We had some community kids helping us out in there, being the monsters. They had a great time. And I go out and the gym is just a line wrapped around of all these kids and their parents waiting to get in. And that was just the best for me. Wow. And so I think, just showing that initiative and, again, pairing up with my education, what I had done, for the organization, I had those opportunities to be, promoted. And I think I took the best.
Took those opportunities.
Yeah, I took advantage of those opportunities. And with that, sometimes, outpunted my coverage, right?
I love it. I love it.
But I wasn't ready for some of those opportunities at the time, but you get ready.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was.
That's amazing. And you were actually working at the Boys and Girls Club while you were pursuing your degrees as well, right? So
Correct.
you got both degrees while you were employed. That's just a remarkable story. You got to be like the poster CEO for the Boys and Girls Club.
So in Boys and Girls Club, I've met so many phenomenal CEOs and folks in other positions as well as through just my experience meeting folks like you and others. There is no poster child. There are just great examples everywhere. And everyone takes a different path.
Yeah, that's so good. Robert, I want to talk about building your team. What has that been like for you? Because you've worked one side of the business, now as a CEO. How is that, from going from, employee to employer? What was that like for you in terms of really building a team, getting the right people on the bus to help move the Boys and Girls Club in the direction that you saw, fit for it to go, the bigger vision?
And that's always a work in progress, right? It's always a challenge because things are always changing, and so. But for me, I think it's getting folks that understand the big picture. The why. Why are we doing this, right? And so it's not always about what we do; it's more about why we do it, and then how we do it. So in my mind, building that team involves focusing on that why, and then also just being very, having that attitude of gratitude, I guess, for lack of a better term. Always showing folks that we appreciate them, we see them, but also that there's always opportunities to grow and improve, and that we're all coachable. I'm coachable. I'm trying to learn from those around me. I do my best to surround myself with folks that are strong in areas that I'm not that strong, so that as a team we're able to cover gaps that I'm not well versed in, but in some areas where they're strong, but they might have some areas to grow in. I might be able to support them. So it's just about that teamwork and making sure that we're going in the same direction, but also with the same purpose.
That's good. What happens when you have a team member that just don't get it?
So if I have a team member that doesn't get it, I think it starts off with conversations and questions, right?
Okay.
About what's your purpose here? I think for me, we have an opportunity. And opportunities come and opportunities go. So what I would hate is to be in the position where I'm in and have not left everything on the field for what I believe in, right? And so that requires some courage. It requires some boldness. It requires putting yourself in some uncomfortable positions and just like, ooh, am I ready for this? And sometimes you just got to grow in those times and areas, right? So if there's a team member who just isn't there yet, then just maybe that isn't the right time for them or the right place for them, because we want everyone to find the path that is right for them.
Right.
And if that isn't the right path for them, then that's okay. There's other areas that they can go in and contribute to society, however they feel like they're best and able to do that. But we want to make sure that we have the right people for our kids and for our programs, because that's a big part of what we do.
That's the reason. That's the why.
Absolutely.
Right? Have you had a team member where you've had to have that tough conversation and they've come to terms like, well, maybe it's not the right fit, or they still felt like it was the right fit, but still weren't really performing as if it was the right fit?
Absolutely. I feel like we've all had that experience, and it's never easy, but also it's never personal.
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 I can't say that enough.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that is constantly have to remind ourselves about, right? Because we put ourselves out there, and we have to be vulnerable at some point, right?
Yes.
And really,
I feel like I'm vulnerable all the time.
And you
my team members like, TMI. I'm like, oh, my bad.
but that's one of the reasons your team members follow you, is because they see that passion. And they see why you're doing it, and you've shown them that heart, and you've shown them, that vision.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to do that, but we want everyone to be successful in their own path. And if our path and their path don't align, then much success to you, and we'll continue to go our way.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk to you about your capital campaign, because I called Roberto. Roberto, how much did you raise in your capital campaign when you were remodeling the club?
Yeah, so our community invested about $4.2 million in our kids.
I was like, Roberto, how did you do that? Talk to us about that. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so that process was a great learning experience for me. So our community has been invested in our club for over 50 years.
Oh, I love that.
And they see the importance of what we do. And for us, our capital campaign, the impetus was we needed to grow.
Yeah.
Our club has been serving our community for over 50 years. Camarillo is about 75,000 population.
Okay.
And
Y'all got a great outlet out there too.
oh, we have
I
great
must throw
everything
that
out
out
there.
there.
Great breakfast, great parks.
Oh yeah, we're
great
not gonna
schools.
get into Roberto and I had a huge debate about the best seafood place. We'll circle back to that.
We'll circle back to that. I gotta take you out there.
Okay. All right. So finish telling us about this capital campaign.
Yeah. So for us, we had gotten to the point where we had more kids in our building than square footage.
Oh wow.
And so we had done a great job of doing youth development programs. However, as we welcome more and more kids, more and more families, it became more and more challenging, right? Because if you're you have a great place here, right? And so if you're in one of your sets and you got an appropriate number of folks in there doing what they're doing, you're okay. You double that number, you triple that number, it becomes a little bit more challenging, right?
Yes.
So for us, we got to the point where we were doing more or less youth management strategies as opposed to youth development programs, because we just had so many kids in the building.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do was, what we needed to do was add on more physical space to let our kids stretch their arms and in addition to stretching their arms, stretch their minds and stretch their potential.
Yes.
So I was given a tour to a member of our community and just kind of talking about some of the ideas that we had early on about adding on another multi-purpose room or another gymnasium. And their comment to me was, well, you already have a multi-purpose space and you already have a gymnasium. What do you want for your kids that you don't already have? And that just opened up my mind, right? And it's sometimes asking those questions and getting that insight from others. And so that was the gift that he gave me. And talking to our community members, I knew that we needed to invest in our kids in STEM and different pathways. So now we have a phenomenal makerspace there. A design lab. It was funded by the Gene Haas Foundation. We had the NewCo Foundation in there supporting our members with teaching them how to manufacture, 3D printing, laser etching, STEM Fridays, just great stuff. We also knew that over the years we had welcomed more and more kids with special needs, and we want them to feel that sense of belonging in our club. So we added in a sensory motor room, which is designed to help kids that might be on the spectrum, or also just kids that are going through some difficult times, or just a place to go and chill out. Our club just has a lot of stimulation, right? You go into the games room, there's pool tables and ping pong tables and commotion, gym, kids running around, design lab, kids building things. And especially like during our extended days where kids are there from 7:30 in the morning till 6:30 p.m. They just need a place sometimes to go and relax.
Is
and
it
that's
like
what
really
that offers.
all day?
In the summers, yeah, because we're there to support working
summertime.
parents.
Okay.
And we charge $100 a year for those kids to come to the club and maybe a $15 day camp
Just
fee.
$100 a year?
$100 a year.
That's amazing.
It's important. It's important. We know that a lot of families are really doing everything they can to tie loose ends, right?
Yes.
So rents are up, food is up, gas is up, commutes are up.
Absolutely.
And if we can take that additional cost of quality and affordable childcare off of those working parents' plates, well, guess what they're doing? They're getting off work, they're coming to the Boys and Girls Club, they're picking up their kid who has already gotten their homework done and had a chance to do all these different great things, made some friends, burned some energy, and guess what? At the end of the day, that parent is just sitting down at dinner and, how was your day? Connecting as a family. Not that 9 o'clock conversation that a lot of us have had with our kids of, oh my goodness, why isn't your homework done?
Right.
I got to get laundry. All right, let's get it over here. And so we want to make sure that we're supporting all of our families in that way. With our capital campaign, we've also added in a new teen center, which has also allowed us to add in a junior high club. Because junior high is kind of that critical age where
it is.
kids can, they can go in different directions. So if we're giving them their own space and their own programs, then the intent is that we can keep them more engaged and active as they go into those high school years and keep that mentorship going on and keep that support going on.
Oh my goodness, Roberto, this is so amazing. And I just love that you're just such a visionary. You see the bigger picture, you see the need, and then you come with the bigger vision to provide the solution. So in this building and expanding, I'm assuming you had to expand your team as well to meet the need. So you had to go through a whole hiring process for that. How long did the whole process take for expanding, for bringing on the right team? What time did you start and when did you get there?
Well, what time is it right now?
It's approximately.
Because we're still going there. It's always a work in progress. One thing I was taught early on is we're not building furniture, right?
Right.
We're looking to make social change, and that takes time. And
you're running a marathon, not a sprint, huh?
Exactly. So you're gonna have your up days, you're gonna have your down days, you're gonna have your days where you just want to run away and hide.
Tell me about it.
But the fight goes on.
Yeah.
The fight goes on. Yeah. So every day, we're still working on, all right, we still got some screws to tighten up. Yeah. We still got some pictures to hang on the wall. There's always something that can be done. However, it's been a process. So we started to envision this project in late 2016, early 2017. We finished construction in last year, like January of last year.
Okay.
And so now we're in the place where we have the kids in the building, they're exploring new things, but everyone's still adjusting. Yeah. Everyone's still adjusting to the new space, the new growth, and how to maximize the impact.
How did COVID impact that time frame for you?
COVID was crazy. COVID was crazy.
Yes, I'm sure.
Before COVID, in our building, we had about 420 kids a day. Mm-hmm. And that was just phenomenal. And then COVID happened, and we continued to operate, but we operated under new guidelines, right, with cohorts and social distancing. So we could not serve those 420 all at once.
Yeah.
And so we did a couple of things. One is we worked with our school district, and we were able to have our staff go to different locations and serve kids at those locations.
Oh, okay.
One for distance learning, and two for supervision. We also did distance learning in our own building. Mm-hmm. And then we prioritized those younger kids and those that we knew probably couldn't have access to other programs that might be more costly.
Okay.
And we kept them going. As far as our project, it escalated costs.
Wow.
It affected the supply chain, it affected material costs and labor costs. So.
And you were still doing your capital campaign during this time as well,
right?
Well,
we had to go out and raise more money. And our community stepped up as they understand the importance of what we do and the importance of our community's kids, and they answered the call. But it was a challenge, and our team did phenomenal. Wow. Our team were out there on the front lines every day and just learning to navigate this new reality of what we were dealing with. And so it was an incredibly challenging time, but it's a time that I can look back on with immense pride and say, we played a role in supporting our community during a very difficult time.
Wow. I mean, that speaks volumes in terms of the team members you have, because I can only imagine people during that time. Nobody wanted to go to work. Everybody was working from home. I'm not putting myself at risk going out, but you had team members that stepped up and showed up in spite of the scare, in spite of all the things that were going on with COVID. That speaks volumes.
Absolutely. And our staff really love the kids at the Boys and Girls Club. And so that's why they do it.
Got to start with that.
That's why they do it.
You got to love the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I mean, if you could do anything differently from the time you started as CEO, like what are some of the lessons learned along the way?
Make more mistakes.
Make more mistakes?
Make more mistakes.
I'm good at that one.
Yeah, me too. But, and be willing to make those mistakes. Uh-huh. You got to be willing to shoot high. You got to be willing to be bold. You got to be willing to go out there. I think it was Father Greg Boyle in his book Tattoos on the Heart who said,
I love him.
Yeah, he's great. Anything worth doing is worth failing at. And so you can play it safe and say, wow, let's try to go forward a little bit, or you can say, we need to get all the way over there. So let's push ourselves.
Yeah.
And with that, it's a challenge. It's bringing folks on board with you, and sometimes it's taking those leaps of faith because you might fail.
What does your board think about that mentality, though?
So I think my board is fantastic, and my board, quite frankly, would like me to take more risks.
Oh, wow.
I think my board would like me to go out there and be bolder.
Really?
Because my board, they've seen that we've done great things together.
I love that.
And so they have that confidence and they want to push us forward.
How many board members do you have?
So we have 25 who serve on our board. They're all
Okay.
volunteers, and
Yeah.
a lot of them, they've had kids that have gone through our program, or they've gone through the program themselves.
Okay.
And they just have great stories about why they do it. A lot of them have been on our board for a number of years.
That's so important.
It's a great board.
Wow. And how big is your team?
Our team is small. We have about 5 full-time staff.
Really?
Oh yeah. We have 5 full-time staff.
With 400 plus kids? Well, I'm sure you have a lot of
400 plus
contractors or part-time employees.
We have a lot of part-time employees.
Okay.
And so those are the ones who they really do the work. They're the ones who are in there with our kids, doing the homework support, doing the arts programs, doing the sports programs, and really doing that everyday mentorship, right?
Yeah.
I have the luxury of being able to walk through our club and do a quick, fist bump, high five, hey, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah.
But they're the ones who are really putting in the work.
Do the kids like to see you come through? Do they know who you are?
They do, and they ask me questions. Who are you? Who are you?
Maybe you can do undercover boss one day.
Yeah.
But I'm sure all the employees, even the part-times, know who you are, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We all have a good relationship. I remember a couple years ago, I had a kid from San Bernardino, who's now an adult and doing very well, and we've kept in touch. And he wanted to come see our club in Camarillo, so he took a drive out there one day, and he wanted me to go out there in the gym and mix it up with them like I did when I was younger, working with the Boys and Girls Club. And I was like, yeah, I'm
Those
good for
days are
about
over.
5 minutes, but
We're good. Those days are over.
Yeah, I was
Let's go to a Dodgers game instead.
Yeah, there
right?
we go. It's something where I can sit down. I was feeling it the next day.
I love it. I love it. So listen, as a leader, what advice would you give to aspiring leaders? Some young people in the club now that started out where you're starting, but their aspirations are to lead or to be a CEO or to start their own business. What advice would you give them? I know you fail a lot. Be willing to fail.
Be willing to fail.
Which is so scary in and of itself, although I'm
Terrifying.
good at it, but it's
Terrifying.
so scary to think that because I don't like failing.
No, and
Right?
it's there's pride and there's ego in it, right?
Yes.
And so you got to get over that.
Yeah.
But I think the advice I would give folks is volunteer.
That's good.
Volunteer.
Learn all you can.
Learn all you can. Put yourself in different opportunities where you get to see different perspectives. I mean, when I was in college, I volunteered for a lot of just different things.
Yeah.
Just trying to have new experiences, and it was one of the best things I ever did.
That's good.
So whatever you're passionate about, try to get in there and volunteer. One, you'll make great networks. You'll make great contacts. You'll get an inside view and a better appreciation of what goes into everything.
Yeah.
And then I think also get some mentors. Put yourself in a position where you can have some folks that you can ask questions of and say, hey, I'm going down this path. You've been down this path or a similar path. Can you help me? And I think most folks are willing to say, yes, I benefited from great mentors. People love helping.
Yes.
So yeah, I think volunteer, get great mentors, and be willing to take chances and make mistakes.
Okay. I like that.
Everything is correctable.
Ah, that's good.
At least most things. You go out there, you make a mistake.
We can correct
Not
it.
the end of the world.
That's a great perspective. A really great perspective. Well, I want to ask 2 more questions before I have to land the plane because they've already held that sign up. And you are no different. You are one of my guests that I could just spend, the next hour just chatting with because we didn't even get into our seafood battle. Real quickly. Roberto, and I'm from Louisiana, right? So, seafood is my thing. So I tried to tell Roberto that I think the boiling crab has the best seafood. Was that my place? And you said...
I said San Pedro Fish Market.
And I'm like, no.
San Pedro Fish Market, oh my God, so good. So good.
The jury's still out on that, but I'll let y'all know when I go. But tell me, how would your team describe you?
I think my team has described me as calm, which I appreciate. In different situations, I have been able to, at least on the outside, show a level of calmness.
Okay.
I say calm like a bomb, right? Because on the inside, I may not be as calm.
Right.
But on the outside, there's always situations, and the first thing I always got to remind myself is take that breath, give yourself a second to assess the situation. What's important? Let's go. But
good.
Not to be too reactionary and to be calm and measured in anything that I do is one of the ways that my team would describe me. I believe. I think they'd also describe me as mission focused. It is about the kids and trying to keep things focused in terms of what is important, what is our North Star, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always distractions, there's always squirrel kind of a thing, and if you don't have that focus on what is important, then you start chasing your tail around, right?
Yes.
But I think calm is one of the ways that my team would definitely describe me, and also I think that they would say that I lead by example.
That's good.
I would never ask anyone to do anything that I haven't done myself.
Yes, that's good. That's really good. I can definitely relate to that. As a entrepreneur building, you have to you do all the things as you build up to that. So great advice. Let me ask you this last question though. Who is or are your favorite leaders?
So I've been very fortunate, right? And so there's been a ton. In my personal life though, so I think we were asked a question like this on a survey and I skipped it because again, there's been a lot of different folks that have invested time in me.
Right.
And I came back to it. And no, I went to go submit my response. I said, oh, you missed this thing. And then when I went back, one of those things like, all right, don't think, just answer. I put in there Dr. Tom Rivera.
Really? So this was a questionnaire you had to do for?
Yes, it's for City Scholars.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's the leadership group that we're a part of. Okay,
yeah, great group,
all right, go
great
ahead.
group. And so I put Dr. Tom Rivera. And Dr. Tom Rivera was a man that I met when I was in college. And he made me feel seen, heard, and important.
Oh, God.
And just just one day, he got me to volunteer for this program. It was called I'm going to college, and we would tour groups of fourth graders around the campus. Take them to different parts of the school. They'd get a dictionary at the end of the day and a T-shirt, and they'd go back to school. But just to plant that seed about college, right? But so he worked at Cal State San Bernardino, and he just always kept me focused on the end, right?
Yeah.
And so he passed away about a year ago, and but he was just someone who always just made me feel like I mattered, and this was someone who was well connected. He knew a lot of different people. I was just a college kid.
Wow,
and
that's life-changing though.
It was. It kind of gave me a different outlook, and it's also he was someone that was always helping people, and it was like, I'd like to be someone that helps people too.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's the sign of a very good leader. Well, Roberto, we can talk all day. I always love hearing you talk. You always just drop so many valuable things and wisdom that we can pull from. I remember one day in City Scholars, and you were like, I'm a hard worker. I just know how to work hard. And I was like, me too, Roberto. Like, I can relate.
Yeah.
But you put your all into what you do, and you know the why, and I believe you know your North Star, and just a great example. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Guys, y'all already know how I feel right now, right? I know that today you have heard something that you can take with you on your leadership journey. Roberto, who started at the Boys and Girls Club as a member and worked his way up to CEO. So just remember that it's okay to fail. When you fail forward, all right? Remember that. If you remember nothing else, remember to just fall or fail forward. That's it for today. Don't forget to do those 3 magical things: like, share, and subscribe. So until next time, enjoy your leadership journey. We'll see you soon. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye until next time.